Well, thank you all for accepting me, and Leon, thank you for having me. If you guys don't mind, I want to use my little cheat sheet a little bit here while I'm here before you guys today. As Leon had told you, my past is somewhat a dark past. I grew up in the crime-ridden areas of North St. Louis. Many of you guys know where Old Fowler Park area is. That's pretty much the neighborhood that I grew up in. Like many people that I wrote about in the book Risen, I had to rise above a lot of the obstacles that I was faced with in order to become a better person and become an achiever myself. I'm going to try my best not to stay in front of you guys long. I can get a little long-winded from time to time. So. Although I think my story is somewhat of a unique story, I would prefer not to share too much with you guys today, not to bore you guys with the details of my personal life. Just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the book. Risen from Jamestown to the White House is a book that chronicled African American achievers dating back to 1619 when the first 20 slaves arrived here in America, all the way up to our present day in time when we have a family that occupies the White House that resembles those same 20 passengers that arrived up on the James some 300 years ago. Risen is a book that it defines us as African Americans not the way that others want us to be projected, but more so in the true essence of how we've been projected since we originally arrived here as fighters, as survivors, as people who always wanted more. The book Risen serves as a reference in understanding how many of the characters between the pages how they achieved many of their accomplishments through education, through hard work, through faith, and by the help of mentors. The book Risen showcases the great transformation and the journey of African Americans in America. It is a well-known fact that the true African American story has yet to be written factually. Risen unveils the secret that history books usually keep away from us. It is no secret that we was brought here to America as slaves. It is no secret that we were forced into illiteracy, not being able to read nor write, that being forced upon us. However, it seems to be a huge secret that a lot of the things that we've done, a lot of our inventions and a lot of our contributions as African Americans have been taken away from us. And they don't want us to know about all the contributions that we have made. That seems to be a big secret, in that a lot of our civil rights have been deprived of us as African American peoples. Just as some of the things have been revealed, there's other things that often goes unmentioned in the history books here in America. The book Risen focuses on those many African American achievers whose stories often go unheard, and untold. We have been great achievers way before President Barack Obama won the bid for the White House. We've been great achievers before Oprah Winfrey became the media mogul that she is today. And we have been great achievers way before Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. As a matter of fact, we've been great achievers ever since our arrival here to America. In 1619, when we first arrived to America, one of the original 20 slaves that arrived on the James had become the first African American entrepreneur. Mr. Anthony Johnson was brought over to America as a slave, and by 1640 he purchased both him and his wife freedom. And by 1651 he acquired enough wealth where he was able to purchase 250 acres of land. And this is in the 1600s, where times definitely was rougher than they are nowadays. So my theory is, if Mr. Anthony Johnson was able to achieve greatness in those days, there's no limits to what we can do in our day and time.
Absolutely.
From entrepreneurship to innovators in the fields of science, medicine, and politics, to the abolitionists and the civil rights leaders that fought and marched for our freedom and our equality, Risen will both inspire and educate in reading at the same time. Through the pages of Risen, you will become familiar with names such as William Tucker being the first person of color being born on North American soil, which was to be considered the first African American that was ever born. You will become familiar with people such as Elizabeth Moonbeth Freeman, who was the first woman to be set free in North America. You will become familiar with names such as Charlotte Ray, who was the first African American woman lawyer in the United States. Andrew Bremer, who was the first African American to be named the governor of the Federal Reserve System. And you'll become familiar with names such as Philip E. Mapawali, who was whose invention led to the internet, Mr. Imabwali invented the supercomputer. And now he's considered to be the father of the internet. If it hadn't been for him, we wouldn't be able to go on Facebook and MySpace and log on to our Yahoo accounts, et cetera, et cetera. So without the contributions of various black leaders, that has not been mentioned in our history books, there are so many things that we would not be able to do here in America at this day and time. And these particular people have been kept from us for so long. They have been omitted from our history books, but it's a time right now where we have to start sharing their stories, so our youth will be inspired to greatness, so that, because they're being bombarded all day with by the media of negative images of and the rap artists, the television celebrities, and our children, they can excel to greatness. They could be doctors, they could be lawyers, they could be pioneers in various fields. And we have a responsibility to them by educating them that since we came here to America, we have always been able to achieve whatever we set our mind to achieve through our determination and our self-will. Risen also offers some of the more familiar names, such as Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, and former Secretary of the State General Colin Powell. Risen by definition means to become active in opposition or resistance, revolt or rebel, to get up after falling or being thrown down, to attain higher rank, status, or importance, or a higher economic level. I believe it would be very safe to conclude that we as a people have truly risen above illiteracy. We have risen above our original economic status that we came here to America in. When we were first brought to America, we was forced into poverty. We was forced into illiteracy. We have risen above those things, so I think it would be safe to conclude that we have risen as a people. The book Risen will surely intrigue its readers, pulling them in with stories of inspiration, courage, determination, hope, unsung heroes, dreamers, motivators, warriors. Risen will give hope to the hopeless. It will challenge one to dream and inspire to reach past the stars. Risen offers a true glimpse of our journey and our many great accomplishments, now giving us something that we can pass down to our children and to their children, so that they too can learn that we, even in a time of where we were being oppressed, we didn't let the chains of slavery hold us down. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm definitely want to be kind of short-winded today because I can't be kind of long-winded. So just want to let you guys know about the book Risen, and if anyone have any questions, I definitely would love to answer any of those questions you guys might have.
Can I purchase a copy right now?
Was that?
Can
Yes,
I purchase
definitely purchase a copy.
Signed
right
by you?
now. Yes, sir.
Okay.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me about a year and a half to write the book.
Okay. Where did you get all your information from?
Various sources. I did a lot of internet searches. I contact different assemblies like the Maryland Assembly. I've been to and I read several books on the figures that are in the book. So I did a lot of research, and then the researching was the biggest part of the book.
The biggest question I have for you, what inspired you to write?
Good question. What inspired me to write the book is called Anthony McDonald Jr.
Good reason.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old son, and he was in. I always was saying, well, before I had a child, when I have a child, I want to teach them this, I want to teach them that, and I believe a child learns more by experience than by just telling them. So when my son was in preschool, he went through the cycle that they were starting to try to put him through the cycle that many of us have been through when we was in school, where they teach them about Dr. King, they can teach them about Frederick Douglass. Lucky you're going to learn about Rosa Parks, and very lucky you're going to learn about Malcolm X. So he started off and they was learning about Martin Luther King Jr. in preschool. He was 5 years old, so I took the liberty to take him to Atlanta, Georgia. So then I took him to the Dr. King sites in Georgia, the museum, and everything was very graphic. You know, the content, the pictures and everything was really graphic. So on our way back home, my son is very, very inquisitive. If he was here, I wouldn't be able to talk, because he would definitely talk you guys here. So the ride back home, it was a 10-hour drive. So on that 10-hour drive, he said, "Daddy, would you turn off the radio so we could talk?" So I knew where that was leading to. I knew that was going to be the next 10 hours. So my son, little Anthony, at that point, he started asking me questions about the civil rights movement, questions about slavery, just questions about the whole shebang, why black people were enslaved, and where we're going to now. So from that point, it led us to being back home here in St. Louis, and we would be watching TV, and oftentimes when we're watching TV, he'll sit on my lap, turn off the TV, and he'll hit me up with more questions. Daddy, tell me about more important black people I should know about. So I started researching about various black people, and I started seeing their stories, and I was like, wow, these people. It was more than Frederick Douglass. It was more than George Washington Carver. So I started teaching them about other people of color that we never heard about in the history books, and it just inspired me to put together a book so that other youths will be inspired by it.
Okay, good, good. Is there another book that you have in the making, something you else want to write?
2 other books I have in the making right now.
Oh, man.
Any other questions? Well, I'd definitely like to thank you all for taking the time out to listen to me. And I'm going to be set up in the back. I would definitely like to invite you all to purchase a copy of Risen so you guys can share with your family, share with your children the stories that have inspired me, that have inspired my son. And I'll definitely be available for questions and signings as well.